everybody. Welcome back to the Standing Light podcast. I am your host, Leyla Salvadé. And let me tell you, today I am filled with so many emotions. This is the final episode of season 1. And I am feeling an overwhelm of gratitude. I am so humbled by the incredible guests that I got to shine a light on and that came on and shared their wisdom and methods that they've been developing over so many years. And in just a few days, it's the 9th birthday of Standing Light. I founded this incredible company 9 years ago, which is so hard to believe. And it's just mind-boggling to me. And what has happened from day 1 to now, I can't even wrap my head around. But here we are. And the fact that it took me 9 years to even launch a podcast is probably the most mind-boggling of all the things. But I'm just so grateful. This has truly been one of the funnest offerings that I've done through Standing Light, because it truly meant that I got to hang out with some of my dearest friends from all around the world and share them with you. And what's better than that, right? We are here to rise together, to grow together, to learn together, and to be able to use the Standing Light platform and the incredible global Standing Light community is truly one of the most beautiful gifts and blessings. So I truly hope that you've received and gotten as much out of this as I have. And know that there's going to be many more seasons, and we're just going to take a little break and then we'll jump right back into recording. So if you know incredible guests that you feel have to be on the Standing Light podcast, please share this podcast, share this episode or your favorite episode with them, and send them over to me on Instagram. And if you haven't shared this podcast with your friends and family yet, please do so. This is an offering from my heart. As many of you may know, we don't get paid for this, right? This is free content that, especially as a starting out podcast, is an offering from our hearts as content creators. So the more you share it with your community, the higher we can rank, or let's just say the higher the Standing Light podcast can rank, and this message can spread even more widely and more quickly. So your support in this means so much. So please know how much of an impact you can have on the Standing Light podcast with this message. It truly has been incredible to see all the shares on Instagram. And please, if you are, tag at Standing Light or at Standing Light Podcast, because then I can see what is being reshared or reposted. Otherwise, it's difficult to keep track of that. So I'm just really excited to share this final episode with you guys. Gosh, I really want to just go over some of the best practices of heart intelligence and kind of bring them all into one episode to highlight them and to remember them and to remind ourselves of this incredible part of us, the heart. One of the most amazing revelations I had on the podcast when I was interviewing Rasmus Berghausen, who is the former scientist of the late Dr. Emoto, who did the incredible experiments with crystals, water crystals, was him speaking about coherence. So let's start out with this incredible fact of the heart. And if and when you are sharing or reposting anything, hashtag heart facts, as well as Standing Light. But let's get this heart facts movement going, because the more we share about the power of the heart, the quicker we will all wake up to this incredible intelligence within us on a collective level. And we've just been asleep to it. That's all it's been, right? We used to know this. Ancient cultures knew this by heart, quite literally. And they lived by and through the power of their heart. They recognized that this was their compass, their inner compass. They didn't use outer technology to know what to do or where to go or how to communicate. They knew that this incredible device within them called the heart, made up of 40,000 neurons, which is the most powerful brain in the human body, was the tool to use in coherence with the head brain, of course. But this intelligence, this wise organ within us is so underutilized. And this is why I created the Standing Light podcast. This is why I developed the Standing Light method. This is why I founded Standing Light, because I recognize that there isn't enough information out there when it comes to the heart. And more people are waking up to this. And it's the most exciting thing in the world, because truly, only once we educate the heart as much as the mind will we see the shifts that we truly desire in our world. But until we do that, we're going to keep in this cycle, this pattern that we've been in for eons now. And it's based off of operating purely from the head brain, which is divisive. It separates, it's binary, and it judges. We need judgment. We need to know what to do when, especially when it comes to the smaller decisions, just like Aristotle said. But in these big decisions, we've got to use heart. And if we don't know how or what that even means, how are we even supposed to use the heart? And that goes for everything, right? How are we supposed to know what to do if we don't know how to use it or how to do it? We have to learn about it. So it starts with education. And for some of you that follow me, saw the exciting opportunity I got to speak on 3 different panels at Google. But that was one of the core discussions, was really how important education is on this intelligence within us called the heart. So back to coherence. This incredible lesson from Rasmus was that our hearts are wired to come into coherence. They want to be in coherence. However, based off of what we now know, thanks to Dr. Hawkins, the scale of consciousness, there are lower vibrations and higher vibrations. So the emotions that are operating in a higher vibration, such as courage, trust, joy, those are creative energies. The lower emotions or vibrations, because emotions are simply energy in motion, are fear, shame, rage, anger. And those are destructive energies, right? And when you understand the electromagnetic field of the heart, in the destructive energies, our electromagnetic field of the heart contracts. In the creative energies or vibrations is when our electromagnetic field is expanded. So it's amazing how we can start to combine the different works of some of the most brilliant hearts and minds and see how it's all connected. At least it lights me up, and I love to geek out on that stuff. But when the heart is wired to come into coherence, that means it can also come into coherence in the destructive energies, right? An example would be when we were younger, we would go hang out with maybe the troublemakers. And in order to fit in, we would start to behave like them, right? So there's that saying that your vibe attracts your tribe. But ultimately, the heart, all it wants is to be in harmony. It wants to be in coherence with the environment it's surrounded by and in. So just that awareness alone is so powerful to recognize, right? That you have the choice to come into coherence in a higher vibrational state and environment or in a lower vibrational state and environment. The choice is up to you. Do you want to surround yourself with people or be in environments that contract you and make you operate in the destructive energies? Or do you want to experience life in the creative energies and be surrounded by people that also operate in those vibrations? Your vibe attracts your tribe. That was one of the nuggets of wisdom that just stuck with me, that is so obvious. And I'm sure I learned it somewhere along the way in my studies, but I just forgot it. So I really wanted to bring that to the forefront, but also just recognizing, that the more we start to practice just even placing our hand on our heart and feeling the beat of this incredible part of us and connecting with this part of us, that is you creating a conscious relationship with the most powerful part of you, your heart. It's the one thing that keeps you alive. Without the heart, you would not exist. And so to take a moment every day, at least once, to cherish this part of you, to connect with this part of you, truly makes a difference, because you're bringing yourself back home, to the home of your soul, to the home of your higher self. I know in some of the episodes we spoke about soul, and I wanted to dive a little bit into that as well, because the soul is your highest self. And in the episode with Emily Liu, where we talked about internal family systems, we really got to understand that through the parts therapy, right? And it was just incredible to share that with you as well, of understanding how we're made up of all these different parts, the inner child, the ego, the higher self part and or soul, and many other parts. All of us have so many parts to us. And until we dare greatly enough to do that inner journey and to recognize all of those parts that have been triggered at a certain time in our childhood or adolescence, that is when we truly can come into that self-healing practice from a compassionate state and place, truly giving that part of us space to speak its truth, its necessary truth, because each and every one of us wants to be heard, wants to be seen. But how can we expect that if we don't even do that for ourselves, for all of the parts that were triggered back in the day that we've just shunned away or blocked away because we're scared to even address or look at it? So doing that inner work really means using the power and the virtues of the heart to acknowledge the parts of you, the good, the bad, the ugly. We've all got them, right? That's why we're here on earth having this human experience. It's the school of life. And you can choose to leave and exit this life with a PhD or with a GED, or not even that, right? How far do you want to stretch yourself? How deep do you want to go so that you can feel so high? Because the deeper we go, the higher we feel. The deeper the roots grow, the higher the branches grow. It's all a mirrored experience. So follow your heart. Don't be scared to. Recognize that, yes, if you've never even touched this place within you, if you've blocked it off, if you've felt like you had to go into this uber protective mode and get dense and harsh and hard to somewhat survive, quote unquote, on this planet or in this society, I get it. It's a really crazy place sometimes, especially in the last few years. The power of fear has contracted so many of us, but there is nothing more powerful than the force of love. And if we choose to use that fuel, that energy on a daily basis, and let our hearts be fueled by that versus the destructive energies, you can only imagine how you're going to start to open up and break through. It's these walls that we've built around our hearts that have caused us to experience the world that we're experiencing. But more and more, humans are daring greatly to access their emotions again, to recognize that that's not weak, to reprogram the notion of vulnerability. And more, there are artists, there are standing lights that are choosing to speak for this power, for the human spirit, and to truly create a whole new reality. And I know if you're listening, you are one of those, because like attracts like. And to know that I got to create a platform where I got to shine a light on so many incredible artists lights my heart up. And I can't wait for the other guests that are going to be coming on. I can't wait for questions from you guys to come in, because I definitely want to create a solo podcast where we do a Q&A. So if you have any questions for me, I feel like I already revealed my soul, especially in the last 2 podcasts with Emily, but there's so much more. And I know that I shared in a few other podcasts that I would go deeper into certain topics, and I will do so in season 2. So keep in mind, this is an open channel, and I want to hear from you, and I want to see the reshares and the tags and this message spreading so far and wide, because I can't do this alone. It takes a village, and it's been the most beautiful journey. But the actual magic happens when we get to share and spread these seeds of consciousness far and wide, because that's how we are going to see the change that we truly desire. I also want to share a little bit more about the Standing Light Method with you. Some of you have already experienced it. Some of you will come to experience it hopefully soon. But this is a technology that I developed, a natural technology that I developed. And actually, let's break that down first, because you've heard me say certain phrases and whatnot over the course of these last 11 episodes. And just that one alone, artificial versus natural technology. We only associate technology as being something outside of ourselves, AKA artificial, or something that we as human beings design. But you yourself are the most incredible design ever created. How you were built took a higher intelligence that eventually maybe we will come to meet, I believe. But don't think you are any less powerful or intelligent than a device or an AI or a robot or anything that's already been built or coming out and will be built. Because the moment we give our power over to something else or make ourselves smaller than someone or something else, we've already lost our power. The trick is to recognize that we as human beings have only scratched the surface of our potential. And this is why I developed the Standing Light Method, because it invites us to reconnect to our full brain power and our full human potential again, and to also reconnect to the 2 most powerful forces in all of existence. And I'm talking about energy. Love and light are energies. They are the highest energies in existence. And when we use them as fuel and we let them circulate through our quote unquote device or body, that is when we start to realize a whole nother way of being. It's a sustainable way of being, because we've replugged and use the free energy that is available to each and every one of us. The ancient Egyptians knew how to do this. That's why they built the pyramids. There's so many ancient civilizations, and yes, I'm going to go there, civilizations and beings beyond this planet that are using this technology. And we, for whatever insane reason, have chosen to not even use the natural free energy available to us. It's as if it's been wiped from our collective consciousness. So I was channeled this method, and I was told that this is the way to reconnect to free energy in a natural way. And it's as much of a physical and active workout and meditation as much as it is a visualization. So I just want to share this visualization with you right here and right now. This isn't anything secret. I don't want to be charging thousands of dollars for you to use this, because It's free energy, and we all have a right to reconnect and use this. The testimonials that I am receiving from clients every single day that practice this method on a daily basis, I could cry because it's actual miracles. Just recently, I had a client who had been doing the standing light method in his morning practice, and he went and got a Reiki session, and he's been going to the same Reiki healer for quite some time, and she could not get over his energy. She said, I have never experienced you like this. I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. You have so much green energy just flowing all around you, which is healing energy, but it's also the color of the heart chakra. So surprise, right? And she said, you are so grounded and at the same time, so expanded and centered from above and below. Whatever you are doing, keep doing it. It's healing you. And it's like this natural energy that's just flowing through you. And he had to share that with me because he just couldn't believe it. He's like, if you needed any proof, here's the proof. And, you know, for those very logical and analytical audiences, eventually this will be tested. You know, science is always behind the inventions that are already out there. I mean, let's just think about that for a second. Think about the technology that James Cameron needed to wait for in order to realize his vision. It's no different. We all get visions. We all have codes and programs that get channeled or downloaded into us. A lot of times, those specific programs are downloaded or channeled to many around the world. That's why that phenomenon takes place where suddenly you had this idea and then a week later or a year later, somebody invented and came out with it. And you're just like, what the heck? That was my idea, right? Or, oh, crap, why didn't I do that? And it's no different. We are a collective consciousness. And whenever the next operating system is ready to be installed into the collective consciousness, we receive it. But it's only a handful of us that will ever really take action on any given download or operating system. It takes a choice to hit accept on that next operating system to be downloaded. And it's how our collective consciousness continues to rise and evolve. It is evolution in and of itself. So I want to share this visualization with you. All it is really bringing your awareness and your sight, your inner sight, from your head into your heart. What that is also doing is shifting your mind, which is just your consciousness, and our consciousness, AKA our mind, has been programmed to only rest or be or operate around the head brain. Okay. So the practice is first and foremost to shift your awareness and consciousness into your heart, from your head into your heart, which you basically could also call moving your mind from your head into your heart. And so we're becoming heart-minded. And the more we practice that alone, to shift our mind from our head into our heart, that is when we become heart-empowered, because we recenter in our original center of the heart, and we practice living from this place versus living from the head brain. We do need to work coherently with the heart brain and the head brain, but only leading and operating from the head brain is the most limited way of operating this incredible system called human being. So bring your awareness and your consciousness from your head into your heart. And I will be sharing this as a meditation. I will be releasing it soon. Bear with me. But just so you get the visualization now already, you move your awareness into your heart. And then from this place, you then begin to grow roots of light from the bottom of your heart down into the core of Mother Earth. And you let yourself really connect with that inner core, the heart of Mother Earth. And before you enter her, do so with reverence, do so with gratitude, because she gives us everything, no matter what we do to her. And that is why she is the epitome of unconditional love. And when we re-anchor our roots heart to heart with her, and we let that unconditional love, that source of love, channel up into our heart and let our hearts be fueled by that energy, whew, that's true power felt in your body. That's sustainable power felt in your body. And really think of it as fuel, because that's what it is, right? It's natural energy, but it's the highest operating fuel and energy in all of existence. Love, unconditional love. And then you stay anchored and rooted there, and you bring your awareness back into your heart, and you start to grow roots of light up into the center of Father Son. And you let his divine light channel down into your heart. And then you let love and light merge and become one alchemical force in your heart. And that is the free energy system that is available to us. It always was, and it always will be, until the sun bursts and dies out, which is going to take a while. But why not use it while it's still here, while we're still here? Why not use the free energy available to us, especially the most abundant, creative, high vibrational fuel and source of energy? And when you practice that, and it goes much deeper, of course, but just that visualization alone, because you then start to work with the electromagnetic field in the next steps and become hyper conscious and aware of your actual power. So it really is activating the divine cross energetically, the vertical energy and the horizontal energy. Once you then blast that energy from your heart all around and out into your electromagnetic field. So I know for some of you, this will make total sense and will just be so obvious. And yes, of course, there are many different meditations similar to this. However, the way the standing light method is encoded, it is to use those energies as fuel to then consciously let that fuel your field, your electromagnetic field of the heart. And that doesn't exist, at least not to my awareness yet. And then we consciously begin to work with the electromagnetic field of the heart. And that's when we become full potential, thriving human beings, activated with 100% of our power, not just merely using 10% of our brain power, but truly using 100% of it. And just like anything, the more you practice, the more natural and automatic it becomes. But this practice has changed my life. It's why I shared, it's why I developed it. But at this point, it's really just the most incredible, powerful tool that I can use for myself on a daily basis and share and continue evolving through myself and sharing with my clients and watching the miracles that happen on a day-to-day basis. If you want to learn more, you can go to standinglight.com/the method, and you'll get to read the testimonials on there, or just click on tributes and you'll see all the different tributes, especially the ones for the standing light method. There's so many more I need to upload, but I just wanted to share the visualization of this method, because the more of us that start to use it, the quicker we're going to come into our full power. And through this method, you are choosing to use sustainable and true power versus toxic power. And if I can be the agent of that shift, even just for one person, I can die peacefully. because I know what it feels like to be fueled by toxic power. And when I say toxic, I'm talking about destructive energy, destructive emotions such as shame, anger, rage, fear. They are so painful, right? They are so limiting. They just suffocate the human spirit. And we all know what that feels like. We've all been there. Because if we didn't know what that feels like, how could we ever know what the other side, what the other side of the spectrum of the emotional scale of consciousness feels like? That's why the deeper you go, the higher you feel. We as human beings are the one species here on Earth that are both cursed and blessed to experience the whole spectrum of emotion. So dive into it. Don't be scared of certain emotions, because it's not that they're here to intentionally destruct you. If you reframe that, you actually realize that they are intentionally there to get you to break through for whatever reason. We are these insane creatures that only learn through challenge for the most part. It's why the greatest humans that we know are the ones that have gone through more dark nights of the souls, through more challenges than any one of us. Think of Nelson Mandela, everything that he went through, and regardless of everything that was done to him, he chose love. He went through many evolutions of feeling through and breaking through those lower emotional realities, recognizing that he has a sacred choice to shift from shame to enlightenment, from fear to trust. And it's just energy. And I know when we're in the depth of those lower vibrational emotions, it's so much more than just an energy. But the trick is to hold the faith and the belief and the trust that if I am going through this right here and right now, it's for a reason. And I am not given anything, and I'm not put through anything that I am not destined to learn from. It's the test. And the tests get harder and harder as you go and grow into the next class. And think of it that way. The tests that we got in first grade were relative to our awareness and our strength and our ability in first grade. The tests that we receive at the stage that we are in life now are going to be based off of the level of consciousness that we are at now. So honor that. Because why would life give you something that isn't worthy of your greatest expansion, of your highest good? Life is working for you constantly. It's not working against you. But if we operate from fear and distrust, we're constantly going to be in victimhood. And choosing to trust and open up and understand that life truly does work for us, even if it's painful, even if it hurts, even if it's so deeply confusing at times. Those are the greatest moments bestowed upon you for you to step into the next highest timeline. All you need to do is be patient, which I know is difficult in those moments, but you will be rewarded if you have the courage to keep an open heart and trust, even in those moments. I am speaking from experience. I've gone through some of the darkest nights of the soul, moments where I truly did not want to live anymore. And this wasn't just a week or a month. We're talking almost a year where I had suicidal ideation, where I truly lost absolute hope in life itself, in humanity, in everything, in myself. I've gone through the depths of hell. I've been there. I've hung out there a long time. And there were moments that were really, really dark, where it was almost impossible to even have an inkling of hope and to even try to conjure up any kind of sense in why I should even trust again. But my wisdom, my soul, my higher self knew better than to contract in fear and to stay locked in that prison. It knew that if I was going through this, it was for a reason. And I was going to get through it because I'm a warrior and I choose to not stay stuck in victimhood. I know I'm stronger than that. I know you are stronger than that. I know we're all stronger than that. And more than ever, there are really lost people because they are so scared from everything that's happened in the last few years, because the greatest virus that broke out was fear. And they used it to contract an entire planet. So the more that we can choose to love and be an emanation of light, the more we actually create a revolution of positive impact. This is the foundation of why I do what I do. And I hope that you will join me in this. I know you are if you're listening, but let's share this message, spread the podcast, share it with your friends and family. Tag me in the clips that you share or repost on Instagram or social media. It really makes a difference. And I just truly appreciate it as well, because I am doing this from the bottom of my heart. This podcast in and of itself is a gift from my heart to yours. And I hope that you know that and can cherish it and can use it to your highest good for your greatest expansion. And to know that you're not alone in this, that we are all one, connected heart to heart. But the ones of us that, for whatever reason, chose to close our hearts, let us that know better or more now be those standing lights for those individuals that have lost hope, that are scared of the light because it's too bright for them in that moment that they're in. And when we know something that's helpful, one of the greatest lessons is to not blast it or project it onto somebody. Because I know we can get so teaching frenzy or overly happy to teach somebody something that we just learned. And I use the metaphor of the dragon because a baby dragon is going to spit its fire everywhere and just create all kinds of little fires everywhere. Whereas the grown and mature dragon barely even uses her fire or its fire. It just lives from this really powerful, centered place. And you can feel its power and you don't question it. And when we operate from that, the embodiment of light, the embodiment of trust, the embodiment of love, that creates the greatest ripple effects in our environment. So embody it. That's all you have to do. And if somebody asks for help and if somebody asks for your advice, share it. But if they haven't asked, it's irresponsible to just blast it onto them. I've done that. And that's why I'm sharing this, because when I started on this path, I was so excited to just share everything. But that can be overwhelming to a lot of people because they're just not there yet. It's like giving an iPhone to a caveman. They'll freak out. They don't understand what's going on. It's just such a shift in consciousness. There's too much of a separation. So using the power of communication, ask, lead with curiosity, always, for yourself and for others, because in that energy, we play and we create. And that's definitely been one of the greatest lessons I've gotten to take on my path as well. So here we are, the final episode of season 1. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in, for being on this journey with me. And please start sending questions to @standinglight on Instagram, or feel free to email them. You can go to the standinglight.com website and just send an email. There's a contact form there. I'm so excited what's to come. If there are any guests that you feel need to be on season 2, please share this podcast with them. Please send their profiles to me and I will have a look. We are really looking for heartists, noble heartists that dared greatly enough to stand in their light, to go against all odds, to follow their hearts, and are sharing this information in whatever design they were destined to express in. So without further ado, I am sending you a wave of love from my heart to yours. Please bring your hand to your heart if you're not driving or operating heavy machinery. And let's take a breath together. And just feel this sacred beat pulsating within you, always for you. Your heart is your guide. It is your compass. It's the home of your soul and higher self. And when we live from this space, we are destined to arrive at our highest timeline, our greatest destiny. And it will come with incredible challenges, but they are designed for you. So don't shy away from them. Know that you can handle it and that you're not alone. Build the tribe that's supportive to you. There will be so many evolutions of friendships along this path of the heart. Believe me, I've lost and made so many friends because as I chose to evolve and download higher operating systems, there wasn't a resonance, but the ones that are meant for you will stay with you and vice versa. But don't be afraid to lose friends or to lose people in your life. If you lose them, they weren't meant to stay in your life anyway. That's another great lesson I got to learn. And it's frustrating and hard, but it helps you develop boundaries, sacred boundaries. It helps you develop your character and recognize who you truly are and what you truly want and need. And it's not that somebody's better or worse than you. It's just that you no longer resonate with them. And what's the point in trying to lower your resonance in order to continue staying with them? That's not loving to them or you. And if they're meant, or if you're meant to stay in each other's lives, you will. So trust. Always revert to trust. That is the most powerful operating system that I've come to find. And it has helped me along the way more than anything else. Always trusting that whatever is for my highest good is exactly what I am going to go through and what's going to come at me. And therefore I embrace it, even if it's painful, even if it's frustrating, even if it's confusing at the time. And on the other side of it, I've always gotten to look back in awe of how perfectly that lesson and that moment and that experience was designed for my highest good. It is truly incredible. So please always remember how powerful you truly are when you live from the power of your heart and use the fuel of love and light to let this beautiful part of you be filled up and nourished so that you can stay nourished, and use the standing light method visualization as a daily practice. I will be sharing it soon. So if you haven't already signed up to the Standing Light newsletter, please do so. Send the questions in, share the podcast or your favorite episode, and I will be seeing you in season 2. So much love. Bye, everybody.